Hi, my name is Haider Abbas and I'm working as Diversification Specialist with Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development at Canada Manitoba Crop Diversification Center in Calgary. Right now, I'm standing in front of a high-yield spring wheat project which is a collaboration with N. Kirk, Cereal Specialist with Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development. High-yielding spring wheat varieties being grown in Manitoba along with improved agronomic practices have challenged over traditional nitrogen fertilization strategies. For this purpose, a nitrogen-based high-yield spring wheat study is set up at Manitoba's crop diversification centers, including CMCDC, with the aim of quantifying the yield benefit of intensive management practices in spring wheat and to determine if these management practices provide the same benefit to a variety of cultivars. The main objective of this project is to determine appropriate nitrogen rates, timings, and sources to maximize yield and protein levels in different varieties of spring wheat. I have pleasure to have Ann Kirk from Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development to brief more about this project. Over to you, Ann.
Thanks, Hayder. So I'm standing in front of the high-yielding spring wheat trial at CMCDC in Carberry. This is one of 4 locations of the trial. The other locations are Roblin, Arborg, and Melita. This is the second year of the trial, so we already have some results. So this study is looking at to quantify the benefits of intensive management practices of spring wheat. So we actually have 4 varieties of spring wheat with 5 different management practices. So the varieties that we're looking at are AAC Cameron, AAC Brandon, AAC Viewfield, and Cardale. We targeted those varieties because they do have good yield potential and they are fairly popular with farmers. The different management practices that we're looking at, so we do have a standard, which is 100 pounds per acre of nitrogen applied in total, so soil plus applied nitrogen, no PGR application, and no fungicide. Then we have a treatment with additional nitrogen, so at 150 pounds per acre of nitrogen. PGR, so manipulator applied at the proper growth stage, which is just when the first internode has come out from the tillering node, so that's growth stage 31 to 32. Fungicide application at flag leaf and anthesis, and then the last is an advanced treatment that includes higher nitrogen, the PGR, and additional fungicides. So for this study, we were looking at a target plant population that's 26 plants per square feet, so it's a fairly high plant population, and we were looking at plant height, lodging, yield, and protein in this wheat. So since this is the second year of the study, we do have some results to share for the field day today. So in 2018, the first year of the study, there were height differences between cultivars, which we would expect, but there were limited height differences between treatments. It is important to note that in 2018, it was a fairly dry year at many locations, so we didn't see as big of an effect of the PGRs as we would in a wetter year. So when we looked at the height of the 5 treatments, we did see that at Arborg, Melita, and Carberry, we did see some height decreases with the PGR application. At the Roblin location, all varieties or all treatments had about the same height, so we didn't see any benefit of the PGR application at Roblin. When it comes to the yield differences, we didn't see any significant yield differences between cultivars at each of the 4 locations. So it's just interesting that these are all high-yielding cultivars that we targeted, and we did see that they yield similarly to each other at each location. There were some differences in terms of yield between treatments. So we did see that at Arborg and Melita were the only locations that we actually saw yield differences between treatments. At these sites, the additional nitrogen and advanced management, which also included additional nitrogen, did yield higher than the other treatments. As I said before, we didn't expect to see a benefit of the PGRs because it was a fairly dry year at most locations. So it's great to have a second year of the study. Once this study is completed, we'll have 8 site years of data that we can look at. And then hopefully based on that data, we can make some recommendations based on the management practices between cultivars. One reason why we're looking at this study is because other studies have shown that management differences, you could target different management practices with different cultivars. So for example, some cultivars may respond more to higher nitrogen rates than others, but it is really tough to get at that information because obviously there's a lot of cultivars available for farmers. So that's why we kind of started with 4 cultivars so that we can see the differences between some of these more popular varieties. So stay tuned this winter for the final report of this study, where we will make some conclusions and recommendations. We should also acknowledge the funding for this project. So the funding for this project came from the Manitoba Wheat and Barley Growers Association for both years of that project. And with that funding, we're actually able to look at protein in the wheat and run this trial at 4 locations.